Hey, Coach, obviously facing Ole Miss, and the biggest thing that comes to mind is their 1-3-1 trap and their press that's kind of giving y'all problems over the last couple of years. How do you attack that, or what's the best way to have success against that press?
When we played them here, the last time we played them, they only ran that twice during the whole game. And what really bothered us the last time we played them was just their 2-3 zone. So that's something that we've been working a lot on. But in terms of how we attack their 1-3-1, there's a certain way to do it. It's the most effective way, but I'm not going to discuss the strategy behind that right now on this call.
Hey, Ben, you mentioned that last meeting between you guys and Ole Miss and the 2-3 zone and things. Obviously, it was a tough night offensively for you guys. I think shot around 34% that night. Just when you think back to that night and I guess extrapolating that into tomorrow, what are you guys going to have to do, like in your mind, to make sure that what happened last time doesn't happen this time, kind of thing?
Well, the number one be tougher. I thought they came out and they really took us out of what we wanted to do offensively by just fighting through screens, being tougher, playing harder. They were, I think, 1-4 at that time, and the table has been turned. We're really struggling now. They've won 4 games in a row. They're playing great. They're really one of the hottest teams in our league right now. We've lost 6 of 7 in the conference, and so we've got to just come and play as hard and as tough as we can. That's the bottom line. Hard, as tough as we can, and play together. And know there's going to be adversity, there's going to be runs, and to be able to stick together through it all and find a way.
We'll swing it over to Garrett. Garrett, go ahead.
Hey, Ben, I'm sure it must have been wild from a preparation standpoint this week. Monday you think you're playing Auburn, that game gets moved, and then that game gets postponed again. From a practice standpoint, I know you guys didn't practice Monday, but what was it like kind of having to reshuffle things around and then reshuffle for what opponent you were prepping for this week?
Yeah, it was really problematic. Even Tuesday was, a problem because of the roads. I mean, just taking into account everybody that had to come. I had 2 of my employees that couldn't even get out of their, neighborhoods because it was so iced over. So it was very problematic, and I think the league did the right thing by calling off our Thursday reschedule of Tuesday's game against Auburn because it was still, fairly unsafe out there. So I'm glad they did that. I'm really happy that, it's a lot safer outside now to move around here in Mississippi at least. It's been very difficult, but I thought we had good practices the last 2 days, and we're going to have another good one today to get ready for tomorrow.
And I know guys like DJ, Tolu, Iverson have been logging a lot of minutes for you. Do you think maybe the extended break might help them, giving them a little bit of rest?
Someone asked me that earlier today on a different call, and I said the silver lining is yes. To me, getting those days off probably will help them in terms of just getting their legs back when they're getting worn down over the course of a long season. I'm looking for a silver lining in this, and I'm hoping that is the case. And, we'll find out.
We'll swing it back to Paul Jones. Paul, go ahead.
Which Jared kind of touched on what I was going to ask, but just to be in a season like this, and obviously you guys have done a good job avoiding any cancellations with COVID, but how tough is it to keep your team focused and like you said, with the weather and messing up practice habits this week, how tough was it to get back in a rhythm?
Yeah, it's never easy when you take, days off that you weren't expecting to take. But, at the end of the day, these guys are resilient and they're kids. But we wanted to do the number one thing I needed to do for our program and team is to make sure everybody's safe. And so that takes precedence over everything else, is to keep them safe. And, the last thing I want is trying to say, hey, we got to all be at practice, and then someone gets hurt or someone gets in an accident on the way there. That would be like horrific. And that's something that, I got support from our leadership here on campus, from the administration, from Mr. Cohen, is that, number one thing is safety of the student athletes.
We'll swing it over to Courtney. Courtney, go ahead.
Coach, going back to Ole Miss, and you mentioned they've kind of turned their season around on that 4-game winning streak. From what you've seen from them, what do you think has been the difference maker for Ole Miss in kind of making that jump and turning the season around to be one of the hottest teams in the SEC right now?
I think that they were always playing good defense. I think they've really done a good job of that from the beginning of the season. And I think that their offense has really taken off. Romello White has been very effective inside. He had a huge game at Auburn a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where he had over 30 points. And Schuler's been very consistent. He's an all-league player in our conference, really good player. I think Joyner's really come on here since the conference started and exerted himself. He wasn't even starting there all the time, and he's definitely one of their top 3 scorers night in and night out, and really playing well. So. And then you look at, the veteran guys that they went out and recruited, like Romello White, like Allen. Allen's been a big addition for them, too, at the power forward position. Really gives them some experience. So they've had, good minutes from guys that are older. And so they weren't, I thought they handled the early rough start well mentally and fought their way through it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to Parrish next. Parrish, go ahead.
Hey, Ben, you touched on Ole Miss and how different they are looking right now. Is there a common theme to the struggles you guys are having? I guess at this stage, where would you like to see you guys get better?
Well, we need to get better, Parrish, in every facet. Number one, I thought that after we played Ole Miss the first time, I thought our defense was really poor in that game. I thought we played great defense for 5 games in a row. The last 2 games we played, LSU and Vanderbilt, I thought our defense really was not as sharp and not as good as it needed to be. And then we've got to definitely be better offensively, being able to execute better offensively. And, when we score, we give ourselves a chance. And so we've got to be better at both ends of the floor, essentially.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll swing it up to Arkansas and Bob Holt. Bob, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, Bob.
Arkansas has won 7 straight SEC games for only the 3rd time since '94. They're ranked for only the 4th time in 20 years in a season, which sounds kind of crazy given their history. But I was wondering if you wouldn't mind, going back to your prep for them, that they were getting better. And I know it was kind of an ugly game for both teams when you guys played here, but just what did you see prepared for them? What did you see playing in them? And if you had a chance to see them in other teams or just on TV, just what's your thoughts on how well Arkansas seems to have turned?
I think that the 2 starters that they recruited as graduate transfers, Smith and Tate, have really been difference makers because they're older guys. They've been there, done that. They're good players. So they've been real keys for him. Obviously, the big kid, sat out last year, but he's played very well. But then you look at the guard play, Moody is, he's fantastic, and he's just getting better and better as he gets more experience at this level, and he's really taken off now. I've always loved Sills. The Davis kid, the lefty, is a phenomenal talent, and I know he's been moved in the starting lineup since our game. I think it was the first game he started. And he's a difference maker. And then the kid Note, I think it's how you say his name off the bench, is a.
Right.
I mean, they have great guard play, and they have some veteran guys that they went out and got that I think have really helped them.
They're 16-2 with Justin Smith and 1-3 without him.
Right.
I guess a guy like that, even though his stats aren't eye-popping, he's averaging about 12 points, about 7 boards. But a guy like that, he just seems to make the difference with that better.
Yeah, he's a good defender too. He's a good defender. He's a good rebounder. He's a winner. He knows how to play. You can see that he really makes a huge difference in that team.